On this week's episode of the Crushing Debt Podcast, debt, dollars, and the power of relationships. So welcome back to this week's episode. My name is Shawn Yesner, owner and founder of Yesner Law, and I am joined by multiple people today in studio, but who you all want to hear from is your financial coach, George Corbello. How you doing, George?
That is correct. How are you, sir? I'm doing okay. Everything is great. It's Gasparilla time. I'm feeling it. How are you doing? Because I know this is your time of the year as well.
I am getting ready to invade. My kid and I were on the float last weekend and had a great time. I brought 40 dozen beads. So for those of you bad at math, 480
Carry
strands
the one.
of beads.
But yeah, I got you.
Mile and a half parade. We were done 2/3 of the way. We were out of beads.
Dang.
My son,
He's
just firing them out.
Yeah, he's hitting people in the head. Is that what happened?
He's throwing it empty grass. He just likes throwing them. I've told him to figure. You can aim. You can have pretty good aim with beads.
That's again.
It takes some skill, but you can have some pretty good.
You
aim.
guys are not the sports family, I'm assuming, right?
No, he definitely does not take any of my money habits into account when he's firing out beads that I paid a couple $100 for.
Love it.
But no, we had a great time. Gasparilla is. By the time you're listening to this, Gasparilla is over. I'm going to be cold, but I always have fun at Gasparilla.
Nice, man. Well, that's good stuff, man. Another week. Let's go. It's past 500 now. Now all that special hoopla about your 5. We're done now. Now it's 1. We're back to 1, brother.
501. And that's the last time we're going to mention numbers in the show. So we do have a couple of guests that I am really excited to talk to and get to. So I want to introduce them both. First, Spencer Reynolds is an executive director of BNI Tampa Bay. The guy practically lives at BNI meetings and somehow still manages to bring the energy every time. He's not just about handshakes and referrals. He's about building real relationships and helping businesses explode with growth. Originally from northern Utah, Spencer and his family packed up and moved to Tampa in 2017, trading mountains for sunshine and lakes. With his wife Tricia running the show because, I've met Tricia. I completely understand and believe that. And their 4 incredible kids, one of whom is here today, we'll get to. 3 adventurous adult sons, their adopted princess, who's, 16 now. Did she drive you here?
Oh, no. She does not get to drive.
Well, but that doesn't kind of jive with this next. They're all about outdoor thrills, especially water sports and international adventure travel. And when we say thrills, we mean it. Spencer's an adrenaline junkie, skydiving, hang gliding, mountain biking, and even trekking to Everest Base Camp with his brothers. If it involves speed, heights, or near death, he's probably done it all twice. So before becoming the networking master he is today, Spencer spent 12 years as a mortgage broker before making the leap into professional speaking and training in 2005. He's taken the stage in every major city across the U.S. and Canada, teaching professionals how to build systems, work by referral only, and grow businesses the right way with referrals. Through BNI, he's expanded his reach globally, inspiring thousands of entrepreneurs to unlock the power of relationships. Also here, we've got Spencer's son, Kamryn. He is a communication coach, keynote speaker, and the youngest executive director in BNI history. He is the founder of Articulate Advantage, helping professionals speak with power, clarity, and confidence. He is a USF grad, an Eagle Scout, and a fluent Spanish speaker. After serving a 2-year mission in Argentina, Kamryn now specializes in keynotes and trainings for high-end hotels and resorts. Known for his high energy and practical frameworks, he's on a mission to become an Ironman, a TEDx speaker, and an international voice for international communication. He lives by one core belief: connection is the currency of opportunity. Welcome, Spencer and Kamryn.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Excited to be with you guys.
So, interesting story. George and I met through BNI.
Yes, indeed.
How many years ago was this?
4 now?
You said
4 and a
you
half?
started on the show 4 years ago?
4 years ago, yeah.
So I was in my BNI meeting, and I said, a great referral for me. I'm looking for somebody to help me co-host the podcast. A great referral for me would be somebody in the money sphere that can help me co-host the podcast. And one of my members knew George from his chapter and said, why don't you have a one-to-one with this guy? And we did. I interviewed him a couple of times, and I can't get him to leave.
That's true. I like that, though.
Klingon.
I appreciate. Yeah, exactly. It's all good.
So, a couple of questions for you guys. First of all, so George, your kids are not part of your company.
No, I don't want to trust those. No.
And my kids, although they probably know more about the law than I do. They're not a part of my company either.
Well, not yet. Yeah, it's a possibility, but
Spencer, is it the entire family works BNI Tampa, right?
Yeah, my oldest lives in Utah. He's a programmer, and so he helped us for quite a time with a lot of the programming stuff. But now he does have a full-time career in Utah and lives there. But he's not involved in the daily operations. And the 16-year-old, if we could get her to do anything, would be great. So sometimes
I have one of those too,
and things like that.
Right.
It's not very often.
So what is it like to work with your family?
It's amazing. This is the answer.
I was gonna say exhausting.
exhausted.
For us, it really works because we all have our specialties. We all have things that we're really good at, and I know that if I don't have Corbin's skills, I'm in trouble. And if Tricia isn't doing what she does, once again, we're all gonna suffer. And so, I mean, we all know how to do a lot of what each other does, but it doesn't mean that we actually can do all those things well, where each one of us are really, really well suited to do what we do.
So how do you all handle if an issue comes up? How do you handle it? How do you manage it?
What he's trying to say is who wins that argument?
Boss does.
Tricia?
Tricia. The boss.
There you go.
She gets final word.
So what is it like working with mom and dad and your brother?
It's great. I think specifically because it's a very siloed approach, as in Corbin has total ownership over the systems and the back end and the running of most of the business part of it. Tricia deals with a lot of the finance, and then her team, she has an assistant who's our admin over applications, and so she is over all of that stuff, and she has final say over all of that. I'm over really what's like the training and development and growth of the region, and then Spencer
Does as little as possible and gets away with it.
That's right. I want to be Spencer one day.
Yeah.
I do a lot of the strategy. I do a lot of training. So there are things that I do, but I honestly keep a lot of free time on purpose so that I can have a lot of conversations and build relationships with members, with leaders, and I do a lot of that.
So, we wouldn't be a show about money and debt if we didn't ask some of those types of questions. So, you've been in BNI now since when? When did you start?
About 19 years ago.
Wow. Okay, so you've been in BNI. I guess you've been in BNI since birth.
19 years ago.
Technically, was the first time I was in the BNI system.
Okay.
Nice.
But he actually helped me launch his first chapter when he was 14 years old in the summer between his school years.
Nice.
Wow.
So he still calls that my chapter. Like I was the one who did that.
So talk to us about some ways. I mean, I clearly know, George knows, we all know, but for the listeners out there, talk about some ways that BNI and relationship networking can work to help you grow your business.
Well, your network is your net worth. So you really got to look at, do you have the people in your environment that can help you grow it and do that? So, investing in relationships is the highest return you can get. I don't think there's anything that anyone can do advertising wise that can match referral marketing and, word of mouth that people will actually introduce you to their friends. So for a money standpoint, putting dollars out and time invested into networking and being with a group of people whose focus is to bring you business, that changes the game when it comes to money, because it's not this like hopeful addition each year. It becomes truly, exponential growth when it comes to networking.
So do you have like a particular example that you can think of, either yourself personally as a member, or maybe someone from where you were in the region in Utah, or maybe even someone here in Tampa? Do you have a success story you can share?
I was looking at Kamryn to see if he had something. I'm like, I have many stories to share.
Man.
One of my favorites, I love that when people are able to branch off and do their own thing. So they were hired to work for a company and represent that company in a BNI chapter. I've got many people who've had that. And then all of a sudden they realize after doing it for 6 or 8 months, I'm good at this. I'm getting referrals. I'm growing this business. And yet my boss, the people here at the company, don't understand it. They don't really support me in doing it. And they don't really care whether I do it or not. They just know that I'm getting sales. And when that moment of truth comes for them, when they're like, you know what, I should go out on my own and open my own business. I got a bunch of people in this room that can help me do all those things. and I can start making the money myself for my own business. Those are my very, very favorite ones because they actually take the leap into entrepreneurship. And there's a huge safety net with that because there's a whole chapter of people who are going to help you grow your business.
And the real thing inside of that is we always say there's one thing that every business owner needs to be successful, and that's ingrained inside of what BNI is as an organization as well as a training organization. Part of it is they need reciprocal referral relationships.
Right.
And so what that looks like is you need a group of people who, one, care about you, who has a relationship with you, but you need to do two things for them. The first thing is you need to teach them who you are, what your business is, what a good referral for you looks like. And then you need to teach them, once they know what that good referral is, once they've identified it, how do they connect you? So they need to know how to understand, really through the 5 senses is how we can understand what a good referral is. We can't say, all right, I'm looking for somebody with a net worth of, $3.2 million. It's like, I don't know what that looks like, but I know if they've got a souped up truck and a sports car in the garage, right? That's something I can see, or I can hear them talking about, complaining about something or bragging about something. And so that's how we identify the referrals. And then everybody for their own business and their model. Once we identify that referral, how do we connect you? And so that's what every business owner needs to be successful inside of relationship marketing, is building those relationships and then teaching them how to do it. Yeah,
I think that's really important for me, and especially in my profession of helping people that are burdened with debt, burdened with money, trying to get out of debt, all that kind of stuff. How do I describe that to somebody to say that could be a good referral for me? When I figured that out, my BNI referrals started taking off.
That's one thing. Let me ask that, because that's, for me, that's, I think we know it's important, but what are some of the biggest mistakes business owners make when they're trying to sell in a networking room? Because a lot of people think I'm networking, but I'm not seeing the results of that. What are some of the mistakes that some of the business owners see when they're in that position?
For me, they're trying to go for too much from too many people and being too broad. So they say, I can help anybody with a back as a chiropractor. I can help anybody in Florida. It's like, you can't even talk to people in Brooksville. Like, what do you mean you can help everybody in Florida, right? You need to be 5 mile famous, 10 mile. Like, who's that group of people that live right here, and what do you want to do that you don't have to drive far to do, so that you can make the most amount of money with the least amount of effort and aggravation, and you do it all day long? That's what you got to teach people how to do. And I think too many people go way too broad.
That makes sense.
And something Spencer talks about a lot is most small business owners die with a broken heart because they're trying to serve too many people. And you really just need to focus on, who do you enjoy working with the most, who makes you the most money for the least amount of effort. And then digging into that as far and as deep as you can go. And then the big thing of selling in the room, it's a really bad terminology as far as vernacular goes inside of what BNI is in relationship networking. For an example, Dr. Ivan Meisner, the founder of BNI, he wrote a book called The Great Networking Disconnect. And he talks about how he was at this big convention they invited him to speak at, and he stands up on the stage, and there's a few thousand people there, and he says, all right, everybody, we're here to network, right? I'm like, yeah. And he says, okay, raise your hand if you woke up this morning thinking maybe you might just be able to sell your product or service to somebody here today. And almost everybody raised their hand. He says, okay, interesting. Okay, now second question. Raise your hand if you woke up this morning thinking maybe you just might buy something from somebody here today. Nobody raised their hand. And so that's the whole, it's called the Great Networking Disconnect is the terminology he coined for that, of inside of BNI, inside of relationship marketing, when you sell to somebody, that closes the door. They are just feel that. I mean, I know you guys know what it feels like to be sold to. Nobody likes to be sold to. Yeah. Everybody loves to buy. And so it's helping them identify, I'm not trying to sell to you. I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to get you to help me get introductions to the people who need my product or service, who you know, so that you can look like a rock star to them when you find their solution, which is me. And then you'll probably end up doing business with them as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I should say this or not. I tell people when new members call me and they say, I'm going to do a one-to-one with everybody in my chapter. Now, for context, my chapter is the second biggest in the country. And the largest in Florida. We were at 155 today, but nice. I know one is dropping, so we'll be at 154 next week. And so what I tell people is, look, wanting to do a one-to-one, wanting to get to know everybody in the chapter, great goal. but focus on the people that can give you referrals right away. If anybody in my chapter asks me to meet up for a one-to-one, the answer is always yes. When, what time, yes. But when I'm looking at who do I want to do one-to-ones with, I use the baker in our chapter as the example. I love her. She's great. She's made birthday cakes for both of my kids every year. She'll probably always continue to do it. But the chances that she knows somebody that could use my help versus the 12 other attorneys in my chapter. So for every one-to-one that I do with her, I'm going to do 3 or 4 or 5 with the estate planning attorney, with the personal injury attorney, with the probate attorney, with the. So I get it. You know, I'm going to do a one-to-one with everybody. Great, go, not do it, go. Yeah. But I'm going to be a little bit more selective when I'm choosing who I want to do a one-to-one with.
Absolutely, and I think that's when you said what are the biggest things. Those are probably it. Trying to talk to too many people, trying to go too broad, and then selling to the room.
Right.
Those 3 things, like, stop doing that. Right. Go really deep, sell through the room, and go in depth with the people that you need to actually have those relationships built with.
Yeah.
And as a small business owner, you don't need BNI for it, but you have to figure out where you're going to find those people.
Right.
You have to figure out how you're going to see them often enough to stay top of mind. And then you have to figure out how you're going to keep each other accountable.
Right.
And those are 3 really hard things to do if you don't have BNI.
What I've told people, they say to me, how do we put together a feature presentation? Tell me who you want to be introduced to. Tell me where do I find them. And when I find them, tell me what I say to them. You teach me those 3 things, I'll get your referrals as often as I possibly can.
Yeah. Well, you once again, we're here because it's about money matters, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Can you, with presenting yourself in 6 or 8 minutes anywhere, have that kind of reach with that many people? That's why BNI is brilliant. It puts the system together and shows every week, here's a couple of people, how you can spotlight them, and they're going to tell you exactly those things if they're smart. Other people want to tell you their story and where they graduated from and where they spent their honeymoon.
Their dog's name.
Right, what they ate for dinner. And it's like, that's just worthless. So focus on the right things, because you got a room of people who really will all raise their hand. I ask this question in every training that I do. How many of you genuinely want to find a referral for every person in your room? And everybody raises their hand. I'm like, why would you spend time and effort with any other group of people? This is where you can literally spend hours a week having one-to-ones and having meetings, business meetings with these people, teaching them how to refer you. They teach you how to refer them, and you each generate each other referrals. Like, it's a genius system. That's why 41 years later it still goes.
Right. Well, and for me, it was BNI works. I really enjoy going to my BNI chapter. I can't ever foresee a day where I am not in BNI. But when BNI really started to click for me was the concepts we learn can be applied outside of that room.
Yeah.
So if I'm at a chamber meeting, if I'm at a Rotary meeting, if I'm at a, whatever, I can still use so I was kind of one of those stories where when I first visited my chapter, my boss had given notice that she was shutting down the law firm. So the options were move laterally to another firm or start my own thing. And going to BNI, going to that first meeting, convinced me to start my own thing. And a story got back to me a couple months later. My former boss was having lunch with some of the other attorneys that had moved on, left the chapter and whatnot. And they reported back to me and they said, she wants to know how you're doing so well. And I said, well, so one day I went up to her and I said, I'd really love to get more involved in Chapter 11 bankruptcy cases. And she said, okay, go out and find some.
That's it? Great advice.
Where, how, when, what? When you have to eat what you kill, it's a different mindset. Yeah. And I figured it out. And then what I started learning in BNI, I started getting those referrals. And what strikes me about that is she, and this is no criticism on her. She was a great boss. I think she's retired now. She was a fantastic attorney, but she didn't teach me how to network. She taught me the law. She taught me foreclosure law, bankruptcy law, appellate law. She taught me all that stuff. She never taught me how to network.
Well, interestingly enough, Kamryn just graduated with a business management degree from USF. And how many classes on networking and how many instructions did you get on how to do any of this?
In a class, it wasn't a networking class, in a business class, there was a module on networking, and it was these recorded videos that they did through a third party.
From like the 80s?
No, I'd say 2010s.
90s.
This is, this is the tip of the spear type of stuff. And there are these videos, and there are like these people in suits in this room of people in suits, and they said, "This is what you need to do. You need to get a big stack of business cards. You need to find rooms of business owners and people you want to connect with. You take your stack of business cards and you get them in the hands of as many people as possible, and you collect their business cards as your treasure for that day. You go home, and if you have time, reach out to those people." And then repeat. And I was like, what?
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, one of my earliest episodes, I'll try to find the number. It's called The Business Card Graveyard.
Yeah.
And it talks about you collect all these cards, and what the heck do you do with them? You don't shove them in a drawer. What do you do with them? And we did a whole episode about, I typically pull it out around Halloween. Graveyard.
That's funny. Yeah. But the big thing with this is, my question for you is, how much did it really cost you to generate those first referrals inside of what you were doing in BNI?
So I was actually kind of lucky in that there was an attorney in my chapter when I joined who was a more senior attorney. He was at a bigger firm, and he kind of took me under his wing for a little bit. He was my first BNI referral. He gave me my first BNI referral. A lady that called me 2 months ago, who still calls me now 20-something years later. And he really took me under my wing and helped me get those first few referrals. So for me, creating the mentor-mentee relationship with that guy, I got referrals right away. Mm-hmm. I know for other people it takes a little bit of time. I know for some professions it takes, I use our florist all the time because I'm constantly making mistakes. Those kinds of professions, it's easier to get referrals. Someone like me that helps people file for bankruptcy, it takes a lot more trust. It's the whole referral confidence curve that we talk about. But my recollection about BNI was that first year, I got a good number. I remade my investment. It was profitable for me to be in BNI. I make probably 10 times more today than I did year one.
Exponential.
It was exponential growth for the law firm. I can count on the law firm I can count on BNI to generate 6 figures of income to the law firm every year.
So with that, though, because it's a financial podcast, referral marketing is so incredibly different than any other type of marketing because it's not very capital investment as far as money goes. It's a lot more time investment.
Right.
I mean, at one of our chapter launches, at the end of 2024, it was the largest chapter launch in the nation, BNI Champions at downtown St. Pete. And the financial planner, he was the one who really started the chapter, got it going. He got 11 of the people into that chapter to launch, which is an astronomical number.
Right.
And he stands up at our big kickoff meeting of like the celebration of like, whoa, this is a big chapter. Like, this is our chapter now. We're setting off. They're going to be their own chapter. And he stands up. And we're like, yeah, tell us your experience and why you chose to start this chapter. And he stands up. He goes, yeah, I was in a chapter before many years ago as the life insurance agent because I couldn't find a seat as a financial advisor. And then I went off and started my own chapter as a financial advisor. But I just really didn't understand it. I didn't understand really how to make the system work. And so I left. And when he left, like, we knew about him from the regional level. Like, he was a grouchy, like, he was just the grouchy old man that we didn't want to hear from. Like, when he called, it was like, leave it ringing.
I told him, no way will I launch a chapter with you.
Yeah. But then he launches his chapter, does incredible work, and he stood up at that time, and he's like, in this chapter, in the last 10 weeks of putting it together and going through the training, I have made more money than my previous 4 years combined in BNI.
Wow.
And he says, in the 2-year gap between when I was last in BNI and now, he said, I spent 5 figures on other marketing strategies of Google ads, of Facebook ads, of all these different things. He goes, and I didn't get a single piece of business in return for it. And so I was talking about it after I was thinking about this. I'm like, how do you make more in 10 weeks than he did in 4 years of BNI? Right? It's the same system. It's the same chapter meeting. It's the same. But he had incredible, the VCP formula, referral confidence curve he's talking was visibility, credibility. The visibility plus credibility equals profitability.
Right.
And he had incredible visibility because he was the guy putting it together. He had the ownership. Everybody knew that. Okay, everybody knew who he was and what he did. And then he had incredible credibility, which is the harder thing to build. That's that trust. And credibility, especially in BNI and referral networking, comes from, do you add value to the group? And for a lot of what he was doing, it was the bringing new people and valuable connections for the rest of the chapter. And so they would always be thinking, if he's this good at something he doesn't even do,
Right.
how good must he be at what he actually does?
My one of my BNI mentors used to say, wherever you go, there you are. And it was, however you act in this scenario is how your customers, clients, referral partners, whatever, are going to anticipate that you're going to react in every scenario. Mm-hmm. So if it's, I didn't have time to get to that one-to-one today, well, are you going to have time to meet with my referral? Mm-hmm. I didn't have time to do this, or are you going to have time to meet with me? So that's, I get it. What other misconceptions do you think people have about either BNI or networking in general?
Well, I hear a lot of people who have heard about BNI from someone and never experienced. They go, "Oh, there's a lot of rules." That's what I've heard. You have to show up. Yep.
You got to show up.
If you want to win, you show up, right?
That's must be present to win.
That's kind of the way it works. But yet, I think everybody's looking for the quick fix. Everybody's looking for, what can I do to go out and do this and just make a bunch of money? The reality, the answer to that is nothing. Right? There is nothing you can do that will actually do that in a business. Now, there could be somebody who builds an AI tool right now and does something and makes a whole bunch of money really quickly. But if you're running a business that is a normal business we would all think of as a normal business, the reality is there's nothing that's going to just make you ridiculous amounts of money the first day you start. It's going to take relationships. It's going to take time. And so that would be one misconception, is people think, I'm going to come in and I'm going to make a bunch of money. And by the way, sometimes people come in, they spend a couple $1,000s, make $10,000 or $12,000 and go, it wasn't worth it. I'm like, wait. You spent a couple grand and 5-6 times that amount. Like, this is a good first year.
Right.
You might be able to make a lot more than that, but for some, right, that's just a number that they're going, I don't know if it was worth my time. Trust me, watch what happens next year. And the next year, we already talked about that exponential growth.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. One thing that I have to say too is, when we think about networking today, right? You have now, you just mentioned AI, digital. There's a lot of things that are happening. Do you see any, how does networking evolve, with a lot of these tools that are now being introduced? Is there something that changes or enhances, what we're trying to do when it comes to networking?
So one of our core values at BNI is traditions plus innovations, keeping what works and then innovating to build on top of that. And I think, word of mouth referrals has existed from the beginning of time. Right. Caveman Joe, Caveman Bob. Hey, you should go try out this thing. The blueberries over to the right. That's a referral to the blueberries type of thing. And so it's always existed. It will always exist because humans trust humans more than they trust some words on a screen, is the general consensus across what I've found to be true. People would rather do business with somebody they know and they've met rather than, I found this phone number on a website or on an ad. So it will always be there. Now, the innovations part of that, the AI, the ads, the systems, all the things we have aside from that, that just builds on supporting it. That's something that's so brilliant about being a franchised region rather than a corporate owned or something like that, is we get a lot of liberty inside of innovating on that side. So that's what Corbin does, my brother, and that he runs that and he's over and he's absolutely brilliant. He's now selling his services that he's built the systems for our region to many other regions across the U.S. because it works so well, using the different AI pieces, using the different CRMs, using different training software that he's built in order to support it. So with all these new things, it'll just make it better, but word of mouth, I don't think will ever die.
Yeah, you think about what happened in COVID, right? Mm-hmm. It sucked, but yet it was genius that it brought so many people onto Zoom and onto the online world, because now I don't have to. Shawn asked me today, do you want to do the podcast from home or do you want to do it from here? And it can go either way, right? We can have one-to-one meetings. We can have business meetings anytime without driving. We can click a button. That innovation alone can save hours to most business people in a week. And that's a really powerful thing. At the same time, if you don't do the basics, if you don't know how to build a relationship and get in front of somebody, whether that's online, whether that's in person, right? How AI works inside of that as well, that is a big deal right now, because you don't necessarily know the other person. Who's the person in your chapter you haven't yet had a one-to-one?
Right.
And you're going, I'm not sure what I should say. Well, guess what? Go into AI, feed it its website,
Right.
go to their social media, their links, put those in there. And then, by the way, I love Notebook LM. If you haven't used Notebook LM, you need to. Put all the information you can in there about you and your business, all about their business, all your traffic lights information from BNI, everything you can put in their gains profile, and then have it do an audio walkthrough and say, prepare me for a one-to-one. And it will have a 12 to 14-minute podcast walkthrough telling you exactly the right questions to ask and preparing you with topics of recognition for them so that you sound like a genius when you show up, right? It's the same thing. You're doing a one-to-one, right? You're doing a business meeting with each other for reciprocal relationship building, but now you have something to prepare like nothing else before, right? Those innovations really matter if you use tools in smart ways.
Wow.
Well, and again, going back to one of my earlier points, the people that are listening to this going, well, there's rules about how to do a one-to-one. But you don't need to do that for somebody you're having a one-to-one with outside, or you can do that for somebody you're having a one-to-one with outside of BNI. If you're listening to this show and you're not in an area where BNI is as vibrant as it is here in the Tampa Bay area, and you just want to have a one-to-one with somebody, do it.
There's nowhere as vibrant as is here.
Exactly. I remember going to a BNI conference and somebody said, "What's it like?" I'm like, "It is networking on steroids. There's one-to-ones in the morning. There's one-to-ones at lunch. There's one-to-ones in the hallways. There's one-to-ones at dinner. There's sessions. There's everywhere." And then 2 weeks later, I went to a Florida bar networking, continuing education credit networking event, and I was blown. They were just
boring.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm in the room. I'm going, "Hey, nice to see you again. Let's talk. Let's get drinks tonight. Let's have breakfast. Let's go to lunch. Let's do. Do you have some place you're sitting for lunch? Let's go out." And I made all kinds of connections at this legal education seminar. For all they wanted to do was show up, dump the education in my brain, give me the credit so I make the Florida bar happy, and go home. And I'm like, "No, I want to network with you. I don't do what you do. You don't do what I do. Let's talk. Let's see if we can pass business back and forth."
For the other people too that can't have a BNI close to them, or it's not, doesn't fit their lifestyle. Maybe they travel too much, or they do things and they can't commit to that. Going to networking events, here's the number one key that I will tell everyone every time. When you show up to any networking event, whether that's a chamber event, an after hours, doesn't matter what it is, act like the host.
Right.
Get there early and act like the host. Greet people at the door and say, "Who are you looking to meet tonight?" And then find somebody and introduce them, and be the person who's doing that all night long, introducing person to person. And all of a sudden, everybody in the room gets to know who you are, because you're greeting everybody as they walk in and you're introducing them. And they're like, "Yeah, they're the one putting it on." It's like, no, that's somebody else who paid to put this on. You're being there to actually make a connection with people. And when you do that, it makes a huge difference, because people want to follow up with you, because it's like, you're connected to everybody. I remember you. Mm-hmm. So, right, even for introverts, they can do it because they show up early.
I am an introvert, and I get there early. Now, I get there early because I look at the sign-in table, and I see what other name badges are out, who else is registered, so I can figure out who's going to be there that I know to make myself more comfortable. Because my networking style, we talk about DISC a lot. I'm a high S, a high C. So at a networking event, I'm the one making sure the wall doesn't fall down. That's me.
That's good.
And people see me in BNI and they're like, "You're a total extrovert." Well, because I know a lot of the people in the room.
You're comfortable.
I'm the secretary of the chapter, and so everyone kind of knows me because I stand up all the time and talk. Which, by the way, volunteering is another great way to ingrain yourself with the leadership of an organization. So a lot of people know me, so I'm more comfortable in that environment. But deep down, I'm an introvert.
No, that makes, and to be honest with you, I am at times, after a day of networking, I'm exhausted. I'm home, and it's like nap time. Got to rest, got to recharge. So, it's we have to be comfortable with accepting of that, but at the same time, it's very important to be able to get in front of folks, and I love the idea of like be the connector, so that people can remember you that way as well. Because again, that's building trust as part of that relationship. So amazing. I'm learning here. Like I got notes here. I'm glad my thing is recording here. We're doing okay, but amazing.
So I wanted to ask you both, what is one either business or networking habit that you really want to either adopt or really hone in on this year? And what's one you want to stop?
Which one you want to start? Which one you want to stop?
Which,
or get better at?
Whichever you're more comfortable with.
It's a very broad question.
I was going to say, dead air is never good. You're supposed to think faster.
I'm trying to have a valuable response here.
It's what, a pregnant pause? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have one?
I can always come up with one. See, I'm the weirdo. You guys are all talking about being quiet and having to reach out. Like, I just go to rooms to charge up every day where I go.
Nice.
So I can always think of things. And for me, when it comes to things I want to stop doing, my family's actually told me this recently. And in networking events, I get really amped up, especially when I'm like talking on stage and doing presentations. And I'm using too aggressive of body language and words. So I like to use a lot of power and energy, and they're like, you got to slow it down. Like that can be too off-putting for some people because you're turned on too much.
Sure.
So that would be one of them for me is I've got to dial back some of my energy when it comes to that because I love listening. And when I listen, I do really, really well because I'm listening. They say something, and now I can generate a referral for somebody based on what they're telling me. They're bragging about something. They're complaining about something. So I love doing that. A thing that I think I would love to get better at is actually getting more people in small groups to have active learning. So having, a big session of learning is always fun, but having a handful of people together and having ideas bounce back and forth is always better. Like anytime we go to a training, it's when we do a breakout and there's 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 people that are in that group and it's like they all get to share. That's when you really learn. So I want to do more of little learnings like that where people go, hey, I want to learn more about this little tool of AI. And getting a bunch of people, because we can jump on Zoom and do a quick meeting and record it, and then it's value for other people that can listen to it later. So capturing smaller learnings to be able to give that to other people for a learning moment inside of lifelong learning is a really important part of what we do.
Enough.
So something that's been on my mind for the last couple months that I want to get better at and understand deeper and then implement really. And I've started really doing it inside of the forming chapters because that's my big rock right now is forming new chapters. So like last year we did 7 new chapters here in Tampa Bay. And
by the way, there's only one chapter in the country with a team who outperformed that. So to say that one person launched that, no one's done that, by the way. So I just wanted to point that out.
Big accomplishment.
And it's this, it all revolves around the word of ownership, not of me owning it, of them owning it, because it's that whole, rent versus buy a house. If you're renting a house or renting a car, you don't care about it as much. If you own the house, you care. You're going to, take care of it. You're going to make sure it's clean. You're going to redo the backsplash and redo the flooring and paint the walls. And you're going to, pressure wash the house. And, you're going to be on top of it. Same thing inside of a chapter. There's a big difference in chapters there is somebody who's like, if it's to be, it's up to me. Brian Tracy quote, right? They're taking ownership. I'm going to make this happen. I'm making this work because it reflects on my business and all of the different things. Same thing inside of a forming chapter. If there's a clear sense of there's 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 people who are have ownership of it, it's a very different experience rather than showing up and saying, oh, hey, welcome. This is our chapter and I hope you feel comfortable. And so being able to, as a leader, develop that sense of ownership, because the more people you have who are acting like the host inside of networking meetings, specifically in chapter meetings, that's a big difference. And so the leadership teams inside of our chapters, rather than just saying, hey, this is your leadership role, please learn it, please get good at it, is no, this is your part of our collective business here, right? This is our marketing business. This is your part. Here's the trainings for it. Become masterful at it because it reflects on you. And how do you develop that sense of ownership with those people? Because if it's just a job, you're only going to work so much. But if you own it, same thing with the business, you're staying up late nights, early mornings, doing the work because it's going to make a difference.
Makes sense.
So one last question, since we are kind of a money and debt podcast. What's one money lesson that you learned early that you want everybody to know?
I know what I taught him. Let's see if he remembers.
Let's get you in trouble here.
Well, I'd say that the earliest thing I ever learned about money that they taught me, which I don't follow, and I'll tell you why I don't follow it, is
Great.
Like 100% of your money, right? You take it and you have 10% for charities, whether that's, tithing or that's a religious organization, community organization, whatever, 10% for charity, 40% spending, 50% saving / investing. Me, my whole life, I've been more of, like the 10% charity and then 80% saving, investing, and 10% spending. I don't like spending money, so I just save and invest absolutely everything. But that's probably the earliest money device. But it was interesting because I was talking with a group of people. When was it? It was like Tuesday morning or something. It was at a chapter meeting or some event, and we were talking about money. And we're talking about credit cards versus cash. And they're like, "Yeah, I have this cash. Yeah, let's go grab this thing." And I'm like, "Man, I never use cash." And they're like, "Me neither." But every time I have it, it's just like free money. So whatever I buy, it's kind of like free.
Girl math.
Right?
I didn't want you to go there, but you did. Okay.
Because it's like, it's just this piece of paper, right? Whatever. Where that's totally the opposite. Because, right, the whole Dave Ramsey side of it is just use cash because you feel like you're using more. Or like now, my generation, it's the first time I've heard it, but I'm like, me too. I feel that as well. Of like, if I see the number go down in my account, like that's like, I see that. But cash is just kind of there. And if I have it, I have it because I normally don't have it. And so when I have it, it's like, it's free.
It'll take me, if I have $100 bill in my wallet or $100 in my wallet, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to go through that cash.
Okay, boomer.
Apparently I'm super old.
But I'm with you 100% on that. Like it can stay in my pocket forever because I just don't spend that way.
Right.
It's not what I do.
Unfortunately, the younger we, again, it's physical versus digital, right? So you rather see the number, right? And that's what's you're triggered there. It's the same concept. You're still doing the same thing. Yeah. It's just, instead of it being cash in your wallet itself, it's a card, right? And you just like, okay, do I swipe? Again, do I give the cash over or do I swipe? It's the same concept. You're still using the same psychology, but people, it's more of that handle. Like, how are you handling the money? How are you spending those things? But amazing that, you got a young kid like this and it's like, let me save every dollar that I have. Yeah. It's a great, again, eventually you'll have to spend, right? But it's one of those that you have a good foundation now that allows you to kind of lead into, like, you go buy the house or buy the car or whatever that might be. So,
and we've talked about it on the show before. If you're listening and you're like, how do I save 80% of my pay? Start with 8 and see where that leads you. Mm-hmm. Start with 4%. Start with 10%. Yeah. You don't have to start day one. I'm working great. Here's 80% of my salary. Yeah, no. You don't have to start there.
Well, I'm in my 20s, but I still have like a teenager lifestyle of I live at home. I don't have like expenses. And so once I have expenses, that'll change things. But right now, I'm living good.
So George and I were talking pre-recording. I'm drafting a lease for him for when his daughter moves back home.
She's graduating as well from UCF. So I was like, yeah, she's coming home. And I'm like, he's like, oh, I can draft up a lease agreement. And I'm like, that's an amazing, why not?
Yeah. Spencer, if you and Tricia need lease agreements for these kids, let me know. I'll draft them up for you.
Look at the time.
Look at the time. This was amazing.
And that'll wrap up this week.
She said, remember I just said I save everything? I'm not spending on that.
Hey, if you got money, I'll figure out a way to spend it.
Love it. Love it.
What about Spencer?
For me, when it comes down to the best advice that I could give anyone when it comes to money is make it automatic. I don't like dealing with money. Now, that's funny because I spent 12 years in the mortgage business and all I did was money and debt for people. But the reality is in my life, I've learned, okay, minimize expenses to get them down to wherever you need to live a good life. Yep. Not that you have to go extravagant in anything. And then from that moment forward, know that all you have to do is generate more than that. And now you don't really have to focus on a lot of effort. Now, sometimes you got to dig yourself out of debt and get there.
Sure.
And most of us have had something of that in the past where you got to like, oh, this sucks and I got to get through it. Now make it automatic. Now make the payments automatic so that it's just done. I just yesterday, honestly, I called my banker and I said, I want to increase my loan payment on my commercial loan by an extra $1,460 to take it up to this next level so that I pay it off an extra 7 months faster. That's going to save me a bunch of money. And he's like, got it, done, right? But I made it automatic. If I had to think about trying to go make an extra $1,000 payment to pay it down and blah, 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 I would never do it.
Right.
Nobody does, right? So making it automatic is just so simple. So then you know that now it's not all about the money. You know, and I've told people for a couple of decades now, I'm not money motivated because I know what it takes to get what I want, and I just go out and make more than that. And I don't have to worry too much about it because it just accumulates, and now I go, oh, bigger problem, better solution, right? Like, big problem that I got to have money to put somewhere because you've built a system that doesn't spend everything you got. So for me, that's my favorite thing is the excitement that comes with, oh, I got a pot of money.
Right.
Because I didn't spend it all. I didn't look at my money. I didn't do anything. All my bills come out automatically, and they're simple, and I don't have to worry, so that I don't have to have a stressful financial life. It's a very peaceful life and a strategy because you're not trying to spend everything you got.
And I love that. You talked about, is it all about the money? I was listening to a podcast recently, and it was some big finance business guy. I can't remember what his name is. I can
Bigger than
find
us.
it.
Yeah, well, it exists, bro.
Maybe number 2.
It exists, yeah.
But he was like, somebody was asking, like, is it all about the money? Because he's like Mega Millions type of thing. And he goes, well, let me ask you a question. Right now, are you thinking about, oh, I need to get oxygen? And they're like, no. He goes, okay, if I jump across this table, grab your neck, now are you thinking I need to get oxygen? He's like, oh, yeah, I think so. I'd be thinking that. He goes, it's the same thing, right? When you have it and you're comfortable and you have that automatic and you know you have more than you need, right? Abundance mindset. He goes, it's not about the money. But if you don't have it, it's all you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a huge part of why this podcast is so great and the things you're talking about are so important because you need to get past that, out of that debt, out of that, crushing, debilitating scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's not all about that. Because life really isn't.
No, it's not. So if you're in the Tampa Bay area and you're interested in BNI, it's Referral Masters. No, BNITampa.com is where you go. That'll give you all the information about BNI in the local region. If you're not in the local region, you want to find a BNI chapter, BNI.com. You can find that. We'll put contact information for Spencer and Kamryn in the notes, which I think is just Spencer at BNITampa.com and Kamryn at BNITampa.com, KAMRYN at BNITampa.com.
I made all my kids weird spelling. It's my fault.
Hey, my mom has a Y in her name, Sharon with a Y. My sister's Bryn with a Y in her name. My niece is Kendall with a Y in her name.
Why?
My son is Tyler with a Y, and someone said to me, "Oh, you carried on the tradition of the Y from the women's side of the family." I'm like, "How else are you gonna spell Tyler?" Tiel.
Taylor? With the I? I don't know.
So I guess we kind of did, but it wasn't intentional. But yeah, there's a lot of Y's in my family as well.
Well, one of the good things that we can do, if you are in the Tampa area, we have a program that we do called Discover BNI that Kamryn runs. And he helps people a couple times a week on Zoom calls where you just go to that website and you'll see that you can register for a Discover BNI session. And he can help you find the chapter that's open, the time of day, the right time in the city. Because otherwise, it's pretty difficult to look through a list of 60 to find where you want to go.
And we've got chapters still in the region that are all online, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you're outside of the Tampa Bay area, but maybe you focus some of your business on the Tampa Bay area, I'm sure there's an online-only chapter that you can look into.
4, and we're starting another one.
We have 5 right now, and one of those chapters specifically that's meeting in about 40 minutes from now, they actually have a member from the Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
Believe it or not.
Wow.
So we have a far-reaching group, even though we're right here in Tampa.
Nice.
So whether you're in Tampa Bay or not, BNITampa.com. Before we wrap it up, anything else? Anything we didn't ask you? Anything you wanted to say?
I always look for ways to have things that will stay in front of people. We want to spend to have branding. And I'm looking at this pencil holder on Shawn's desk, and it's got the date of 2008 on it. This thing's been sitting here for a really long time. And
Time
I'm
to
thinking
upgrade.
To myself, you know what? I need to do pencil boxes or pencil cups for people's desks, because if that's going to stick around this long, that's a really good idea.
There you go.
Although, so again, the high S, the high C, you'll notice that only has pencils in it. And that one with the FSU logo on it, those are only black pens. And then the FSU helmet is blue and other highlighters. So every pen has it.
Shawn, I have a doctor friend who you can talk to. I just wanted to let you
White
know.
coat.
It's called being a high
Straight
C
jacket.
on the disc profile. Yeah, right now my desk is a disaster area. And all I've got
haven't
open
seen
on
mine.
it is my notes and your bios. And this, to me, is a disaster. I'm
Oh, my
embarrassed
gosh.
by how dirty my desk is right now.
I'll hug you after the show. It's okay.
So, any last words of wisdom?
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah. No, thank
you.
Yeah, I do appreciate both of you being on the show. So if you want to continue to support the show, it's patreon.com/crushingdebt. We are, as soon as Gasparilla is over, we are full bore ahead for the Purple Stride Walk.
Purple Stride
so we'll
Walk,
be
yeah.
giving more information about the Purple Stride Walk, which is April 25, I believe.
I think so.
To help raise money for pancreatic cancer research and whatnot. Other than that,
Great show, guys. I appreciate you. It's a
Party
good
on,
job.
man.
I like that. All right, Gar.
so BNI definitely has helped me have more money at the end of the month
Yes.
rather than month at the end of the money. And we will talk to you in next week's episode.